One of the hardest things for a parent to do is watch their kids grow up and become independent. Letting go and seeing them go off to work or college makes them worry about them all the time. When that child turns 18 and goes to work at a late-night convenience store, it makes one worry even more because of the fact that there are not as many co-workers to look out for their children. 18-year-old Kyle Farishian was a wonderful son to his parents and the best big brother anyone could ask for to his younger sister Keston, who was just 15. They often loved riding their bikes together and playing video games for hours on end. Unlike most older siblings, who would often shun his family to spend more time with his friends, Kyle was the type of young man who made sure his family knew how much he loved them each and every day. When he was just a few years younger, his mom and dad had divorced and each went their separate ways. He divided his time between households, spending part of his time in Lake Placid, Florida, and the other part of his time with his father in nearby Punta Gordo. Despite the fact that the family had broken up and his parents had remarried, Kyle and his family was very happy and close-knit. Kyle had decided to help out his family and take a job at the local 7-Eleven to not only help his family, but to make some extra spending money. He was 18 and becoming more and more of an independent and responsible young man. Everyone that knew him would often say how hard-working he was, and he was just an overall joy to be around. That is what makes what you are about to hear even more tragic and sad. Although Kyle was well loved by everyone that knew him, he was more of a small crowd type of a person. He loved chatting and talking to others, but he also loved his new job because it would be the night shift where he knew it would be more quiet with less people. He knew that it would be a lot easier to get his work done without the daytime traffic in the store. Even though Kyle was hired on for the night shift, the first week or two of his new job, he was asked to work the day shift so that he could be trained by the manager on duty and so he could become more used to the register and learn all of the operations of the store before being left alone. On one of those training days, Kyle was working the register when a young man walked up to the register with a 12-pack of beer. Noticing what was happening and seeing that Kyle was about to ring up the purchase without checking for an ID, she stepped in and asked the customer for one, and the man became irate and refused. Some words were exchanged between the manager and the young man, who was trying to buy the alcohol, and the man said he was going to get the manager fired before leaving the store. Either way, he was asked to leave and to not come back. He was later barred from the store for 1 year after talking to the higher-up store manager. Things were quiet and went on without any further problems until Halloween night of 2015, which happened to be Kyle's first night alone in the store overnight. What was about to happen was a selfish, despicable, and cowardly act that ended the life of a very loved young man who had a very bright and promising future. Nothing would ever be the same for his poor family ever again. Kyle arrived at work and began his shift with his co-workers, and was really enjoying his new job. When things began to slow down, his co-workers had all finished their shifts and left for their own homes, just as they had every day before. Kyle went back to the back room to do the cleaning and the prep work for the following day's food supplies, and had been working alone and content for about 5 hours when he heard the doorbell ring, which alerted him that someone had came in the store. Knowing that he needed to be out front to help his customers, Kyle went out front and at first didn't see anyone. He walked 2 or 3 aisles over and looked up to see a person in disguise with a mask over their face holding a gun to his face. Before he could react, the person fired the weapon at Kyle, hitting him point blank in the head. He then took a can of gasoline and dumped it over him and set the poor boy on fire and left the store, leaving Kyle for dead. Just minutes later, a woman and her boyfriend came in to buy cigarettes and saw Kyle dead and burning on the floor and immediately went to their car and left the building, but they did call 911. At first, the police found it very suspicious that they would leave the scene of a crime and thought that they had possibly had perpetrated the crime, But after they explained that they were afraid the killer may had still been there and that was the reason they left, and after checking the videotapes from the security cameras in the store, a better picture began to come into view of who the real killer may be. After the manager of the store told police about the run-in with the young man who was refused beer, they began to investigate to find out who this man was. Luckily for police, after the initial run-in with him, the manager on duty was smart enough to get his plate number from the vehicle he was driving, which led police straight to 18-year-old Michael Russo. The second time Michael had came into the store was the catalyst for him being banned from coming back. He had came back on October 15th, just 2 weeks before Kyle's murder, and had gotten into a verbal altercation with the manager on duty and was again refused when he again tried to buy beer. Eventually, he caused such a confrontation that they sold him the beer, but when the manager escorted him outside to tell him never to come back to the store, Michael angrily threatened her and attempted to hit her with his car, which was also caught on surveillance. You would think that would have gotten him off the streets so that he wouldn't be able to hurt anyone else, but the laws are too lax. Not only did he not serve a single day in jail, his only punishment for nearly hitting a woman with his car was a verbal warning to not to come back to the store for a year. Spoiler alert, he didn't listen. Michael had made one tiny little mistake when he had came in and doused Kyle in gas before setting him on fire. When police went to Michael's home with a search warrant, they opened up his garage and found several red gas cans, which were identical to the one in the video surveillance camera footage. The one key piece that ended up ending his freedom, though, was that even though there were several cans there, the one that he had actually used had a small smudge of white paint on the very top of the can that could be seen by investigators. Aside from the gas can evidence, the killer in the video had the same walk, the same gait, was the same size. He also lived 1 block away from the store. After a SWAT team was sent to his home, he was arrested shortly later and taken into custody. In May of 2017, Michael Russo was given a life sentence for the murder of Kyle Farishian plus 30 years for arson. The sad thing about it was, Kyle wasn't even the one who refused the purchases, and was not the one who had argued with Russo. Kyle was simply an innocent bystander, who was doing the best he could to go to work and earn a living. Hopefully karma is finding Michael Russo in prison. We hope he has a miserable life. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Kyle. If you liked today's story, please share it with your friends. Text it, email it, share it on all your social media platforms, and don't forget to like our channel and subscribe. Our social media links and the link to our merchandise store is in the description box of every graveyard dance video. We have some awesome looking t-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies and other things. We appreciate you all for watching. Till next time.